my goodness, it is windy today. I think we've got 40 to 50 mile an hour wind gusts, which is nothing compared to what some of you in Kentucky have experienced. And I just want you to know that we are thinking of you, we're praying for you, and you are constantly in our thoughts right now, because here in Oklahoma, we certainly know what tornadoes are all about. So I just wanted to give a shout out of support to all of the people there in Kentucky and perhaps other surrounding states that were affected by tornadoes and high winds. It's just very strange weather this year. And speaking of strange weather, I have some things to show you. But first, let me talk a little bit more about the high winds that we've got today. There's just, Stuart, if you could kind of just concentrate on some of the areas where just leaves are collecting everywhere. And it leads me to my question of the day. I collect my leaves or clean up my leaves about once a week. Sometimes I'll do a designated area where I'm cleaning up some leaves, but right now there's just no point. There are still leaves coming down, and I think I'm just going to wait for a while until these high winds end. All the leaves have blown off of the trees and from my neighbors' yards down the street before I do another major cleanup. But here's my question of the day. How do you guys tackle leaf cleanup at your homes? I know some of you live in areas that just have tons of really magnificent and large deciduous trees, and when all those leaves come down, it's something you have to stay on top of. So that's my question of the day. How do you stay on top of leaf cleanup if it's an issue in your area? And what do you do with those leaves afterwards? Do you compost them? Do you use them as mulch, or what? So this is how extraordinary this season has been so far. We have yet to have a freeze. Stuart, I think we're going to get one this weekend. And I think it's going to be a guaranteed freeze, because I always check the 10-day forecast, and it showed that a lot of times it'll show like 31, 30, and then it doesn't materialize into a freeze because the ground temperatures are so warm. But now it says it's supposed to get down to 22 just in time for my son Johnny to get home, and he'll be happy to have a cold weather Christmas. But this is how strange it's been. Look at this, you guys. I just harvested these yesterday, and these were from, this is one of those kind of inexplicable garden gifts, but this is from a tomato plant that went to seed on the side of my house next to my neighbor's drive, and I just let it grow there, and it's been very, very happy, and I still haven't pulled it out, and it continues to produce tomatoes, and it's still laden with all sorts of green tomatoes on it. So go figure. Yesterday, I went out and I cut some, it's not exactly Christmassy, you guys, but nevertheless, look at these gorgeous Encore azaleas. And Stuart, let's put a card to all the different varieties of Encore azaleas. They have buds all over them, and a lot of them are still blooming, and I may go out and harvest and pick a lot more of the white ones to do in a Christmas floral arrangement with more traditional things. But look at all of those gorgeous Encore azaleas, and there's a lot more obviously that I didn't pick. And then in addition to the azaleas, here are some more spring and summer traditional flowers that are blooming. My golden feverfew, some of it is blooming. I still have some hydrangeas blooming, and lots of these drift roses. So like I say, it's just been very, very odd, and it makes me a little bit nervous because I have put, and I'm finishing that up today, hundreds, if not thousands, of bulbs in the ground, and it really needs to get cold for those bulbs to perform next spring. So we're keeping our fingers crossed. So on this walkabout, I kind of want to show you what's going on in this last blast of trying to get garden chores done before moving inside for the holidays. So I had a number of lights that burned out in my string lights. So I want to make sure that looks festive. So I did have somebody come and help me this morning. I held the ladder for them because I'm not doing ladders, especially in this wind. And I replaced I keep them in stock at all times so that I can replace any bulbs that have burned out. I may not be cleaning up all of my leaves, but I am continually blowing them at least away from the front door, or from any doors actually, so that they don't blow into my laundry room or my entryway every time I open and shut the door. And that is something that I do multiple times a day. I have a few topiaries. These are 2 of them. I have a few of these compact myrtle topiaries. It's been so warm that I have left some of them outside, and these will come in tomorrow because the freeze is supposed to hit tomorrow night. Today it's supposed to get up to, I think, 74, and tomorrow I think it's supposed to get up to around 70, and then the cold front comes through, which is probably why we've got lots of this wind. Because it's been so warm, I haven't gathered all of my little potted boxwoods, and I'm gonna do that. And all of these guys, this one has one of those cute little egg trellises on it from my QVC line. Stuart, let's put a link above. So I will just put all of these guys together like this, huddled up against this fireplace, and I'll water them really well because we have not had, it's another thing that's stressing me out a little bit, we haven't had a drop of rain in I don't know how long. The entire state is in drought now. I think we're in moderate drought, and western Oklahoma is in extreme drought. So I'm going to water all of these really well. These little tiny ones I actually might bring inside. And then I'm going to blow a whole mass of the additional leaves that have fallen. I'm going to blow them on top of all of these little pots to mulch them. So that's one of my last things on my list to do in my final garden roundup of chores. I've got a few more bulbs that I'm going to plant in pots. I've got a few more. I love this blend from Color Blends. It's called Smooch. I've got a few more bulbs that I'm going to be planting in pots. I'm going to try to do that later this afternoon. I am going to tend, I wanted to show you how cute do my little Christmas trees look. So I'm going to water these really, really well. And then I've got a cute little tableau that I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with them. I'm not sure where I'm going to stage it, but that's something that I am going to be working on. I'm moving a lot of the firewood from here to beside the door so that once it does turn cold, I'll have adequate firewood that I don't have to even cross down the steps and over to the wood pile to get. I'll have it right by my door. This huge elephant bush has been outside. I actually, earlier in the season, I brought it in, and then I realized that it was still going to be warm for a really long period of time. So I brought it back out again along with my olive tree. So both of these are a little bit heavy for me. Stuart, would you help me move these into the office? One of the advantages of having Stuart here. I have another hanging basket of begonias that will come in. I can see that a lot of this stuff, amazingly, it needs to be watered. So I'm going to give everything one last good watering before the freeze tomorrow. I have some rosemaries that are still out, and I will bring those in, and some of these I might bring into the kitchen because I think they're kind of festive looking. One thing that I do, you guys, I don't know why, but when I have them, my topiaries inside for the holidays, then I put moss over the gravel. I'll sprinkle actually some of those mosquito bits to ward off the fungus gnats, and then I'll saturate some moss and I'll put that on top as a mulch because the gravel just doesn't look very holiday-ish to me. It's more of a summer garden thing. So I will mulch these in moss, and that gives them also a more decorative look, I think. And I kind of like that during the holidays. Stuart, turn around, look at all of the buds on this Chinese snowball viburnum. Can you see all of them as well as I can? There are hundreds and hundreds of them. And they survived even the Arctic blast last year. So they should be fine no matter how cold it gets. Don't blow over Stuart. Even Stuart almost blew over. I'm doing some final, what I think of as getting my uglies over with right now so that this will be absolutely spectacular in the spring. So you guys know all of the transitioning that I did here. I am itching to be able to prune this. I also, way in the back, I had all the dead wood cut out of that Nandina domestica hedge that took such a hit last year. I had all of the dead wood cut out so there's nothing but foliage in there, and I will harvest the rest of those red berries to use inside for decor so that the birds don't eat them. Another couple things that I'm doing, I just planted, gosh, at least, I really lost count, at least 75 Party Punch and Dordonia tulips in here from Brex, and it pretty much filled this up. Now what I'm going to do, most of my containers that I plant tulips in, I move to my garage and I keep them under cover during the winter months. But obviously some of these are just too large to bring in. I've got them planted in here, I've got them planted in here, and I've got another huge pot at the end of this border. So on these, it's been so hot and dry that I am watering them a little bit. I'm gonna water this, and then the next time we get hopefully some rain, after that, I'm going to cover these with a trash bag so they don't get too much moisture, and then I will set these cages, these are from Gardener Supply, and I'm going to set them back on top so that it will hold the plastic in place, and also I've got them over these two large round pots right now to keep squirrels from digging. It's always a little bit iffy on how well these outdoor containers perform, but when they're spectacular, they're just beyond. So I'm hoping for a good year in that regard. I've got a few more alliums that I need to plant in here, and then I'm going to come back in and I'm going to sprinkle some more poppy seeds. And then I've got bags of leaves that I'm getting ready to use in my Works leaf shredder. I'm going to shred those leaves, and then once all the work is done in here, I'm going to mulch all of that with those shredded leaves. So I've still got that to do. So I'm just frantically trying to get all of these last chores done while the weather is still pretty nice. Stuart, if you would, look at how green, I interrupted myself, but look at how green all of this mondo grass looks right now. So many of you ask me about it, and I am not always good about pointing out what it is. I've had lots of sprinkler work done where I've added some more drip line, and then here's a perfect opportunity right in here. I've got all of this poana weedy grass in here. Now would be the perfect time once it gets cold to pour some boiling water on that to kill out that poana that's growing up in here. So I can get kind of a head start on spring next year, and I don't have to do everything in the spring. There's another couple of plants that I want to show you, or one in particular that has performed, and I don't talk about it enough, it has performed just so exceptionally, and I want to show it to you. And I think you can maybe even now still buy it in Plants by Mail or through Southern Living. If you don't want to get it now, obviously before winter, I understand, but definitely put it on your list for next spring. So let me show you what that is. I think I've showed you some before of what it looks like. In route, let me point out, look at all of this columbine. These really warm temperatures have accelerated germination of a lot of the things that went to seed, like the larkspur and the poppies and the columbine, the foxglove. It's pretty amazing. You can also see I've got a couple of areas that I'll come back in and have to replenish the gravel. But this is what I wanted to point out to you. And it's this Fashedra. And I kind of consider it a staple now, so I don't talk about it enough. But it is a kind of a cross between a Fashedra and then Hedra, the ivy. So it's really, really beautiful. It has this kind of vertical growth habit. I use it a lot in cut flower arrangements. It's great at Christmas time because it looks wonderful with those red berries and things. Now here's the thing about it that has so impressed me. It supposedly is a tropical and not frost hardy, but I have overwintered it successfully. Last year in that Arctic blast, I did lose it and I had to repot it. So what I lost was in a pot. But do you know that across the street where I had planted one for a neighbor, in the ground, that hers, this supposed tropical plant, overwintered record low temperatures in the ground. It was -12 and hers still overwintered and is still alive and performing well. And it's a wonderful plant for shade where you want an accent that's really tall and vertical. Let me go over here, Stuart. You can see that its vertical growth habit, which pretty soon will cover some of these electrical boxes and such. And obviously I need to get stronger, or I need to get taller supports for it to climb. It's just really done beautifully, and it's a great, great shade plant. So I highly recommend it. A couple of other plants that have done really well in this environment up here, because it is shady even in the summertime, are some of the heucherellas that I like from Southern Living. And someone asked, does Southern Living just send me these plants, or do I buy them myself? And I would say it's a combination of both. They send me new ones to try, and then when I get some that are really, really great performers, when I find them at my local nursery, I typically buy more of them. And this heucherella here is an example of that. I can't remember, I don't think this is buttered rum, but I love it. And look how pretty it still looks. And it's got it creates kind of a flouncy skirt. Excuse me, around the base of this Utopia yew, which is another great Southern Living plant. And I also love the way its foliage looks, its broad foliage looks, against the delicacy of this Muhlenbeckia, which is another real favorite of mine, or wire vine plant. So these obviously aren't looking their best right now, but by next spring they'll be fabulous, especially when I clean up all of these leaves. So you guys let me know what your leaf cleanup protocol is, how you handle all of your leaves. And make sure to let us know what zone you're in, because that really, it helps us all when we can read comments that are from somebody who's also in our zone. Thank you guys so much for all the Christmas cards and things that you've been sending. And I've got a lot to do. And as I said, it's going to be kind of a chaotic day, so I better get busy. So from my house to yours, I hope that all of your holiday preparations are going really well. Well, it's been a very chaotic day today, and it's going to get more chaotic later on this afternoon. So I wanted to make sure that I got a workout in, so I'm still in my workout clothes. So my jacket is Patagonia. I got this in Tulsa a while ago. I love the fact that it has pockets and it's weatherproof, and I don't know if it's windproof or not. My little tiny earrings, I love these. These belong to my second mom, and they're just little silver studded hoops. My breeches are Zaia, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I got these through my trainer, and my shoes are Vans. So, such as it is, that is my outfit du jour.